So put a pin in there. You don't need to lift it, just.
What secret rules allow some Mennonites to drive cars while Amish are forbidden? Why can certain plain communities use smartphones while others risk excommunication for merely owning one? The answers aren't what you think. Behind these visible differences lie 10 hidden codes governing two worlds that appear similar yet exist in parallel universes. Both communities trace their roots to the 16th century Anabaptist movement in Switzerland, a radical reformation that challenged infant baptism and state-controlled religion. While sharing this foundation, they diverged when Jacob Ammon demanded stricter practices in 1693, forming the Amish order. This separation created two paths, one embracing complete separation from the world, the other allowing measured engagement with modern society. Difference number one: start and end of the day. Before most Americans hear their first alarm, Amish families have already begun their day. Rising strictly at 4 a.m., their schedule follows the ancient rhythm of creation rather than modern convenience. Each moment of daylight is considered sacred, a gift not to be wasted on sleep. By sunset, work ceases, and families gather by oil lamp. Mennonites, while still early risers, permit more flexibility, adjusting their schedules seasonally and allowing electric lights to extend productive hours beyond sunset. Difference number two: simplicity and cleanliness. Enter an Amish home and you'll notice what's missing rather than what's present. Bare walls without photographs or decorations. Wooden furniture without cushions or ornamentation. Even floor coverings follow strict guidelines. Rugs must be plain, never patterned. This stark simplicity reflects their belief that plain surroundings foster plain thinking. Mennonite homes, while still modest by modern standards, permit selective comforts. You might find upholstered furniture, modest wall hangings, and even electrical appliances in progressive communities. Yet both groups share an obsessive dedication to cleanliness, viewing order as a reflection of spiritual discipline. Difference number three: economic activities. The Amish commitment to agrarian life isn't merely preference but religious mandate. Farming connects them to God's creation while limiting worldly influences. When not farming, their businesses, woodworking, construction, quilting, remain hands-on and small-scale by design, with strict prohibitions against expansion beyond what a family can manage. Mennonites embrace a broader economic spectrum. Their communities include teachers, healthcare professionals, and business owners operating within the wider economy. This difference reveals a fundamental distinction. Amish restrict occupations to maintain separation from the world, while Mennonites view diverse professions as potential ministry opportunities. Business growth for the Amish must never compromise family priorities or community values, while Mennonites often balance successful enterprises with their faith principles. Difference number four: religious beliefs and practices. At the heart of Amish faith lies Gelassenheit, yielding oneself completely to God's will and community authority. This principle manifests through obedience to community rules rather than theological study. Their worship services, held in homes rather than churches, follow unchanged patterns from centuries past, conducted without formal clergy or prepared sermons. Mennonites emphasize personal salvation through faith, focusing on scripture study and intentional spiritual growth. Their services include prepared sermons from trained ministers, often addressing contemporary issues through biblical interpretation. While Amish baptism typically occurs only after full commitment to community life, Mennonites may baptize earlier, viewing it as a beginning step in faith rather than its culmination. Amish rarely evangelize outside their communities, whereas many Mennonite groups actively engage in mission work, believing their faith must be shared beyond their cultural boundaries. Difference number five: jewelry and marriage symbols. No wedding rings glint on Amish fingers, as all jewelry is forbidden as vanity. Instead, marriage transforms appearance through other means. Men grow beards, but never mustaches, considered military symbols after marriage, while women adopt more comprehensive head coverings. These aren't mere traditions but visible testimonies of marital commitment and community belonging. Even clothing fasteners carry symbolic weight-straight pins instead of buttons for many communities, hooks and eyes rather than zippers. Each element carefully designed to eliminate individual expression while reinforcing collective identity. Mennonites, by contrast, permit wedding rings in most communities, viewing them as appropriate symbols of commitment rather than vanity. Their head coverings for women, while still present in conservative groups, are often smaller and more varied in style than those of the Amish. Some progressive Mennonite communities have relaxed dress codes entirely, focusing on modest principles rather than specific garments. These visual distinctions serve as immediate identifiers between the groups. An Amish woman's white cap, prayer covering, differs significantly from a Mennonite woman's smaller head covering, silently signaling their different interpretations of biblical modesty requirements. Difference number 6, use of technology. The Amish approach to technology reveals a sophistication outsiders often miss. Contrary to popular belief, they don't reject technology outright, but evaluate each innovation through a complex filter. Will this strengthen or weaken our community bonds? Will it increase dependency on the outside world? This nuanced approach explains seemingly contradictory decisions, why a community might reject electric lines that connect to the grid but permit battery-powered tools, or why cell phones might be allowed for business but forbidden in homes. Each district's Ordnung set of rules specifically addresses which technologies are permitted, often with subtle distinctions that outsiders find baffling. Hydraulic and pneumatic power systems ingeniously replace electrical ones in many Amish workshops, allowing productive work without violating principles of separation. Community phone booths, positioned strategically at the boundaries of settlements, permit necessary communication while preventing the private, individualistic nature of home telephones. Mennonites embrace a spectrum of technology usage depending on their conservatism. Old Order Mennonites might appear nearly identical to Amish in their limitations, while progressive Mennonites fully integrate modern technology into daily life. Most Mennonite communities fall somewhere between adopting technologies selectively while maintaining awareness of their potential impacts on community and faith. This technological difference perhaps most visibly manifests through transportation. Amish, horse-drawn buggies versus Mennonite automobiles, though even here, exceptions and variations exist within both communities as they continually negotiate the balance between tradition and practicality. Difference number 7, places of worship. Every other Sunday, Amish families host worship in rotating homes or barns, no steeples, no permanent churches. This intentional impermanence reflects a core belief. Worship belongs to the people, not a building. Inside, benches are arranged with men on one side, women on the other. For 3 hours, they sing centuries-old German hymns without instruments. There's no printed bulletin or scripted flow, only a pattern passed down through memory and tradition. Lay ministers, chosen by lot for life, give sermons without notes or formal training. Their authority comes not from degrees, but from scriptural depth and community trust. Notably absent are religious symbols, no crosses, altars, or imagery, just a stark focus on communal spirituality. By contrast, Mennonites typically worship in plain but purpose-built churches. These spaces include central pulpits, wooden crosses, and acoustics designed to support unaccompanied singing. Conservative groups still separate men and women. Progressive ones allow families to sit together. Mennonite ministers are often seminary-trained and follow a structured, though simple, liturgy emphasizing participation. The difference in worship spaces reflects deeper theology. Amish view the people as the church, rejecting the need for sacred buildings. Mennonites, though also community-centered, see church as both people and place. Amish homes symbolize separation. Mennonite churches offer more visible connection to the outside world. Difference number 8, children's upbringing. From early childhood, Amish children are raised to become community members rather than independent individuals. Their toys, faceless handmade dolls, and wooden tools smear adult roles and instill traditional gender expectations early on. Boys play with plows, girls with washboards. Even play becomes preparation. Education takes place in one-room schoolhouses taught by young, unmarried women from the community. School ends at 8th grade, deemed sufficient for their future roles. Lessons focus on practical math, Anabaptist history, and agriculture-related science. Submission and cooperation are emphasized over competition, with older students helping younger ones. Language is shaped by context: Pennsylvania Dutch at home, English at school, and High German for church. This trilingual system naturally separates home, public, and spiritual life. Discipline is consistent across settings. Any adult may correct any child, reinforcing shared expectations in home, school, church, and work. Physical punishment exists but is secondary to the powerful influence of approval and shame. Mennonite child rearing also values simplicity but allows more outside interaction. Their schools often extend to high school, and in progressive communities, college is encouraged. Toys may be store-bought, and computers are present in many classrooms. Unlike the Amish Rumspringa, Mennonite youth experience gradual integration into adulthood, reflecting their openness to broader society while still preserving core faith values. Difference number 9: family support and community help. From an early age, Amish children are raised to become cooperative community members, not independent individuals. Their toy-simple faceless dolls and handmade tools reflect adult responsibilities and reinforce traditional gender roles. Boys mimic farm work, girls pretend to do laundry, even play becomes training. Education happens in one-room schoolhouses taught by young, unmarried women from within the community. Schooling ends at 8th grade, considered adequate for their adult lives. Lessons cover basic math, Anabaptist history, and practical science related to agriculture. Submission, humility, and cooperation are stressed. Older children help younger ones, reinforcing mutual responsibility. Language is deeply contextual. Pennsylvania Dutch is spoken at home, English in school, and High German in church. This trilingual pattern neatly divides the domains of family, education, and faith. Discipline follows a shared model. Any adult may correct any child, reinforcing unity and collective standards across all aspects of life. Physical punishment exists, but is rare. Approval and shame carry greater weight. Mennonite upbringing echoes the Amish in simplicity, but permits more outside contact. Their schools often extend to high school, and in progressive circles, college is supported. Toys may be commercial, and technology like computers is present in many classrooms. Instead of the abrupt freedom of Amish Rumspringa, Mennonite youth ease into adulthood. The transition is slower, reflecting their willingness to engage with the wider world while maintaining core spiritual values. Difference number 10: daily prayers and spirituality. Before the first light of dawn illuminates an Amish farm, prayers have already been spoken in Pennsylvania Dutch, the distinctive German dialect that separates everyday communication from the High German reserved exclusively for formal worship. These morning devotions, conducted without written prayer books or formal liturgy, establish the day's spiritual foundation through memorized texts passed through generations. Every meal begins and ends with silent prayer, heads bowed in wordless communion that can stretch uncomfortably long for unaccustomed visitors. This silence represents not absence but presents the collective turning of hearts toward divine guidance without performative speech. Work itself becomes prayer through the Amish concept of Gelassenheit, where physical labor manifests spiritual submission. Plowing straight furrows and raising perfectly squared barns become acts of worship, expressions of order that reflect divine intentions for creation. This integration of spirituality with manual work explains why Amish view idleness not merely as unproductive but as spiritually dangerous. Scripture reading follows strict patterns, with certain passages reserved for specific seasons and occasions. Rather than individual interpretation, these readings reinforce collective understanding, with traditional explanations valued above novel insights. Bible study focuses on application rather than analysis, emphasizing obedience over intellectual comprehension. The absence of professional clergy means spiritual guidance comes through community consensus rather than theological expertise. When questions arise about appropriate behavior or belief, elders seek unanimous agreement through lengthy discussion rather than authoritative pronouncement or majority vote. Mennonite spirituality, while sharing similar foundations, permits more individualized expression and contemporary influences. Many Mennonite communities incorporate written devotional materials, including those from other Christian traditions. Prayer may follow less rigid patterns, with spontaneous expressions alongside traditional forms. Ordained ministers with formal theological education provide spiritual guidance in most Mennonite congregations, offering sermons that engage contemporary issues through scriptural interpretation. Bible study often includes historical critical methods alongside traditional readings, encouraging thoughtful engagement rather than mere acceptance. Progressive Mennonite communities may incorporate diverse spiritual practices, including contemplative prayer traditions, social justice activism as spiritual discipline, and engagement with environmental stewardship as religious obligation. These communities often maintain intentional dialogue with other faith traditions, viewing interfaith conversation as opportunity rather than threat. Perhaps most distinctively, Mennonite spirituality often emphasizes peace